Why the middle class never gets rich. Have you ever wondered why someone earning $150,000 a year can still feel financially trapped, while another person making half that amount quietly builds real wealth? It seems backwards. Most people believe that earning more automatically leads to becoming rich. But if that were true, millions of middle-class families wouldn't be living paycheck to paycheck despite having good jobs, nice homes, and respectable incomes. The uncomfortable truth is that the middle class isn't usually held back by laziness or a lack of intelligence. Instead, it's held back by a financial system, social expectations, and everyday habits that slowly drain wealth without most people ever noticing. By the end of this video, you'll understand why so many hardworking people never achieve financial freedom, and more importantly, what separates those who do. For decades, the middle class has been told to follow a simple formula. Get a good education, find a stable job, work hard, buy a house, save for retirement, and everything will work out. For many families, this plan did work in the past, but the economy has changed dramatically. Housing costs have surged faster than wages. College tuition has become dramatically more expensive. Healthcare costs continue to rise. Inflation quietly makes every dollar buy less than it did before. Yet many people are still following financial advice designed for a world that no longer exists. This creates what economists sometimes call the income illusion. A higher salary feels like progress, but income alone rarely creates lasting wealth. Wealth is not measured by how much money enters your bank account every month. Wealth is measured by what you keep, what you own, and how long your money continues working for you, even while you sleep. Imagine two neighbors. Sarah earns $70,000 a year. She lives below her means, invests consistently, avoids unnecessary debt, and lets her investments grow over time. Next door, Michael earns $180,000. He upgrades his car every few years, finances expensive vacations, buys a larger home than he needs, and increases his spending every time he gets a raise. On paper, Michael appears successful. But 20 years later, Sarah may have a much larger net worth because she focused on building assets instead of expanding her lifestyle. That difference introduces one of the biggest financial traps facing the middle class: lifestyle inflation. Lifestyle inflation happens when your spending rises every time your income increases. A promotion leads to a luxury apartment. A bonus becomes a new SUV. A salary increase turns into designer clothes, premium subscriptions, and frequent dining out. None of these purchases seem dangerous individually. In fact, they often feel deserved after years of hard work, but together they create an invisible cycle. Every raise disappears before it has a chance to build wealth. Instead of increasing investments, people increase monthly payments. Instead of buying assets, they buy liabilities that demand even more income to maintain. This cycle becomes especially dangerous because society rewards appearances. Expensive cars, large homes, luxury watches, and high-end vacations often create the image of financial success. Social media amplifies this pressure every day, encouraging people to compare themselves with carefully edited lifestyles that rarely reflect financial reality. Ironically, many genuinely wealthy people live far more quietly than expected. They prioritize ownership over appearance. They buy investments before luxury items. They understand that financial freedom often looks surprisingly ordinary from the outside. The biggest difference isn't income, it's behavior. And that leads to an even bigger question. If earning more isn't enough, and spending less isn't the complete answer, what are the wealthy doing differently that allows their money to multiply year after year, while the middle class keeps working harder just to stay in the same place? The answer begins with one simple but life-changing concept: understanding the difference between assets and liabilities. The difference between assets and liabilities sounds like basic financial vocabulary, but it may be the single most important concept in building wealth. An asset is something that puts money into your pocket or grows in value over time. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket month after month. Yet millions of people spend their entire lives collecting liabilities while believing they're building wealth. Think about a brand new luxury car. The moment it leaves the dealership, it begins losing value. On top of depreciation, there are monthly loan payments, insurance, maintenance, fuel, and repairs. It may provide comfort and convenience, but financially, it's costing you money every single month. Now compare that with buying shares of a profitable company, investing in a low-cost index fund, or owning a rental property that generates positive cash flow. These assets have the potential to grow in value while producing additional income. Instead of taking money from you, they can eventually help pay your bills or even replace your paycheck. This is one of the biggest mindset shifts between the middle class and the wealthy. Most middle-class households work for money. Wealthy people gradually build systems where their money works for them. Imagine receiving a $5,000 bonus at work. One person immediately spends it on the latest smartphone, designer clothes, and a vacation. The money is gone within weeks. Another person invests that same $5,000 into diversified investments. Left untouched for decades, that single decision could grow many times over through the power of long-term compounding. The gap between these two people doesn't appear overnight. It grows quietly, year after year, until one reaches financial independence while the other continues relying entirely on the next paycheck. This explains why high income doesn't automatically create wealth. Many doctors, lawyers, executives, and entrepreneurs earn impressive salaries, but also carry enormous mortgages, car loans, credit card balances, and lifestyle expenses. They look wealthy, but their financial freedom depends on continuing to earn at the same level. Meanwhile, someone with a more modest income who consistently buys income-producing assets can quietly build a stronger financial foundation. Wealth isn't about looking rich. It's about having choices. But even people who understand this principle often face another obstacle that silently destroys financial progress: debt. Not all debt is harmful. A carefully managed mortgage, a business loan that generates profit, or education that significantly increases earning potential can sometimes create long-term value. The real danger comes from high-interest consumer debt. Credit cards, personal loans, and buy now, pay later services make spending feel effortless. Instead of asking, "Can I afford this?" people begin asking, "Can I afford the monthly payment?" That small change in thinking has trapped millions of households. Imagine carrying a credit card balance with a high interest rate. Every month, a large portion of your payment goes toward interest instead of reducing the original balance. It's like trying to fill a bucket that has a hole in the bottom. No matter how hard you work, some of your money keeps leaking away. Now multiply that across car loans, personal loans, subscriptions, financing plans, and everyday expenses. Suddenly, future income has already been promised before the paycheck even arrives. This creates what many financial experts call the hamster wheel. People work harder to earn more money, but every increase in income is immediately absorbed by larger monthly obligations. Promotions feel exciting for a few months, yet financial stress often returns because spending has risen alongside earnings. The wealthy tend to approach debt very differently. Instead of using debt to finance consumption, they often use it strategically to acquire assets that have the potential to generate income or appreciate over time. The focus isn't on borrowing more. It's on ensuring that borrowed money has a realistic chance of producing greater value than it costs. Perhaps the greatest advantage wealthy individuals possess isn't that they always earn more. It's that they understand one powerful principle: every dollar has a job. Some dollars buy temporary happiness, others buy financial freedom. The middle class is often encouraged to spend first and save whatever remains. The wealthy usually reverse that formula. They invest first, build assets consistently, and allow their lifestyle to grow only after their investments begin generating lasting wealth. And that's where the story becomes even more surprising. Even people who earn average incomes can become financially independent by following one principle that most schools never teach. A principle so powerful that it has quietly created countless everyday millionaires without them ever winning the lottery or inventing the next billion-dollar company. The principle is surprisingly simple. Consistency beats intensity. When people think about becoming wealthy, they often imagine finding the perfect stock, launching a billion-dollar startup, or making one life-changing investment. But in reality, most self-made millionaires don't build wealth through a single lucky break. They build it through thousands of small financial decisions made consistently over many years. Imagine two friends who both start working at age 25. The first waits until they make more money before investing. Years pass. Promotions come and go, expenses increase, and investing is always postponed until the next raise. The second friend starts investing a modest amount every month from their very first paycheck. They don't try to predict the market. They don't chase viral investment trends. They simply invest consistently in diversified assets and let time do the heavy lifting. At first, the difference between them is almost invisible, but after 10 years, the gap begins to widen. After 20 years, it becomes dramatic. By retirement, the person who started early may have accumulated several times more wealth, not because they earned more, but because they gave their investments more time to grow. This is the power of compounding. It's often described as earning returns on your previous returns. At first, growth feels slow. Then, almost unexpectedly, the curve begins to accelerate. Wealth that once took years to build can start growing faster than your annual salary. That's why time is one of the greatest financial assets anyone can own. The earlier you begin, the less money you often need to invest to reach the same destination. But here's something many people overlook. Building wealth isn't just about math, it's about behavior. Every day, you're making financial decisions that either move you closer to freedom or further away from it. Every unnecessary purchase has an opportunity cost. Every dollar invested today has the potential to become many more dollars in the future. Every financial habit you repeat eventually becomes your financial identity. The middle class often believes wealth is created by earning more. The wealthy understand that wealth is created by controlling spending, owning appreciating assets, avoiding unnecessary debt, and staying patient while their investments grow. None of these ideas are glamorous. They won't make headlines. They won't go viral on social media. But over decades, they quietly separate those who work for money their entire lives from those who eventually achieve financial independence. So why does the middle class often struggle to become rich? It's not because they're lazy. It's not because they aren't intelligent. And it's certainly not because success is reserved for a select few. The real reason is that many people are following financial habits that were never designed to create lasting wealth. They focus on income instead of net worth. They prioritize appearances over ownership. They upgrade their lifestyle faster than they build their investments. And without realizing it, they spend decades climbing a ladder that's leaning against the wrong wall. The encouraging news is that this cycle can be broken. You don't need a six-figure salary to begin building wealth. You don't need perfect timing, and you don't need to become a financial expert overnight. What you need is a different mindset, one that values long-term ownership over short-term consumption, patience over instant gratification, and financial freedom over the appearance of success. Small decisions, repeated consistently, can completely change your financial future. The question isn't whether wealth is possible. The question is whether you're willing to make today's choices that your future self will thank you for. If you found this video valuable, subscribe to Capital Compass for clear, practical, and documentary-style insights into personal finance, investing, economics, and wealth building. If this video changed the way you think about money, share it with someone who needs to hear this message. And let us know in the comments, what's the biggest financial lesson you wish you had learned earlier in life? Because the first step toward building wealth isn't earning more. It's thinking differently.